Hello friends and welcome. We are in knee land again, trying to strengthen our knees. So I'm going to try and make just a really nice, tight, short little number. That is a knee strengthener you can fit in every dang day that your knees say it's okay. And by knees saying it's okay, if the knees feel like, ooh, that's work, I don't want to do that, I would encourage you to try to still do that. If they're getting inflamed or sore or angry from it at all in any way, then I would back off, right? So you need a wall, find a wall, hit pause, come back. And then act like you're laying against that wall, right? Like we did last week's. We laid down on the ground, right? So I have the back of my skull, my shoulder blades, my low rib cage, and my pelvis against the wall. I'm gonna try and keep those contacts even as I start to walk my feet out. I'm going to try to sink down until I've got a lot of 90-degree angles, AKA right at my hip, my knee, and my ankle. My ankles are underneath my knees are directly out in front of my hips. I could be higher if this is not accessible at this time, right? I can put my hands on my thighs, but be careful not to push down. Try to keep the weight, the work in the legs. Now notice, are you all in the ball mounds of your feet? Can you put more weight in your heels, your inner heels, and distribute the weight equally? What does that do? How does that change the work in the thighs? Notice B, do your knees want to go in or out? And each of them can be doing a separate thing entirely. What do you have to turn on to keep them right in front of your buttocks bones or your hip joints, right? And C, are you using the low belly at all, right? Is that helping to support you? You don't slam it back. You don't want your low back to flatten. But it's that idea, you know, I often talk about pushing into an imaginary block. Simultaneously push out into a strap. Have them working on both sides, that corset turned on. Are you breathing? 2 more. Me too, me too. I'm back in my ball mounds of my toes. I come to my heels, walk up the wall, move back, and just pause for a moment. Breathe. So actually, I've been doing this one for a lot of years. In track, I used to have issues with my knees when I used to run track because my groove for my patella, my knee joint, my kneecap, was wide, and my kneecap would move around when I would run. This was one of the ways that I could build the strength of the knee so that that kneecap would fit and ride in its groove a little bit better. You could start higher with the hips. You could do less time. You could also add on more time once they start to get stronger. As with all of the things, right? If it's like, oh man, it's a lot of work, I don't want to do it, I would encourage you to try to show up and do it. But if, when you do the work, you're getting irritation, inflammation, irritability, pull back, right? Talk to me. You know, I'm available for all kinds of questions, and I don't mind them at all. One more. I was talking to give you a break. Give me a break too. And then go ahead and come on down. Again, trying to sink to the height of the knees if you can. Weight in the heels, moving in with the thighs, but also out with them equally. Buttocks, not buttocks bone, so knees in line with your hip joint, the very center of the hip joint. And if it feels all right this time, you're going to reach your arms up, maybe grabbing elbow points, pulling, lengthening out of that side waist, lengthening like you're zipping up your zipper from the front waist, right? So I don't pull my waist back to my low back. I lift up and I lengthen out of. Again, I'm in my toes every time. If I take my awareness away from my feet, I go into my toes. So I put weight in the heels, weight in the heels. How does that change the experience? Just notice that. Which way do your knees want to pull? Breathing, other forearm in front. I find this exceptionally hard. You can even hear it in my breath probably. And go ahead and walk on up. Walk those feet back. Now, maybe, maybe not, and depending on where your knees are, you could lie down on your side body, and this would be gentler. But if you can bring one of your legs, I'm going to just use the wall. I have my right hand, and I'm going to bring my left knee up. I'm going to bring it towards my chest and grab onto my ankle. We're going to do a stretch, and we're going to lengthen that knee down. Now, the knee wants to go wide. Try to hold it in. Try to parallel your thighs, reaching the knee down any amount. It can be out further if that's where you're feeling the stretch. That's totally fine. As my knee reaches down, I pull my frontal hip point up, and that is the stretching of the quadriceps. I hiked 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago, and so my quads are like, whoo, I can use this stretch. And again, I just encourage you, notice what your patterns are. Does the knee want to go internal, into external rotation? That internal groin wants to rotate out. The knee wants to come out to the side and come high, forward. And it's not wrong, but the more familiar you are with your body, one more breath, right? The more we start to know what might be the best way to move with our body. So I'm going to turn my back to you. I apologize for that. I bring my left hand up, my right knee in, and I bring that down. I'll turn slightly so I'm not totally back to you, right? Again, I'm going to try to get my thighs so that they're parallel to each other. There are a number of ways I could talk about that. If your knee wants to go wide, that is the external rotation taking over. So participate with the inner groin as well. Knee moves down, frontal hip points pull up, and I've got my right leg up, right? So for me, this is the main leg that I really bring extra awareness and attention to. It gives me a little bit of issues. It's also the one that mainly goes in external rotation and hyperextends and all kinds of things. Take another breath, and then I think we'll be about even. Release that down, and just pause, close the eyes, notice your thighs and your knees. Anything else that you notice? Namaste, friends. May your knees be well.